Hey, this is Rob Swanson with the Real Estate Mogul Show. Let's get into it. So today you're going to find out the top 3 things that you need to know if you're trying to dispo and sell your deals wholesale. So let's get into it, guys. This is another Real Estate Mogul Show. I'm Rob Swanson, and we're going to dive right in. We got a full crew, including Edgar, sitting on the couch here today. Welcome, gentlemen. Let's dive into this.
Yes, sir.
Feels good to be back.
Yeah, man.
Same.
You walked in to the studio here today and put your hand out and shook Mike's hand and said, "Nice to meet you." He walked in.
I've been MIA.
Yeah, he walked in when I was sitting in here, and I said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" Like, he was just not a normal figure sitting on the couch recently.
No, I got hit with that capital CRUD.
Yeah, the crud, man.
Whatever it was
going around.
So just to be perfectly fair, I was working from the house. I just didn't share whatever I had.
That is true. Yeah, we're glad you weren't around.
Well, I did take a day on Monday. I didn't get off the couch last Monday.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I was mostly functional.
Well, it's good to have you back. And
I've been off the pod for 3 or 4 sessions.
Right.
But,
right.
I've been here just helping out our FreedomSoft users.
I love it. I love it. Last week, I had to do a solo show because everybody was busy doing stuff. And that's a good indication for the health of a business when everybody's kind of too busy serving our customers and doing that work that, we can't come in here and have a fun conversation. Like, we all kind of look forward to this session every week. And
what am I, chopped liver? I jumped in.
Hey, Joe's on the buttons around the corner.
Well, it was fun. Last week was a good time. It was fun, to jump in and actually get in, direct line of sight for the conversation. And I think we had a good one. It was a heater as far as the virtual market selection and getting your virtual flip machine up and running. I mean, it was filled with a bunch of good stuff. And, Mike, we hit him with a Jim. I think I butchered the Jim Rohn quote, but we hit him with a Jim Rohn quote.
Hey, at least you tried.
Yeah. Well, today's is the why is powerful, then the, what is it? If the why is powerful, do you know this one?
It's something like if the why is big enough, the how will present itself.
Yeah. There it goes. If the why is powerful, then the how is easy.
That was two different things.
If the how is the why,
Joe's
then the
like,
why is the
hey,
what.
Joe's like, hey, what's that quote again? Mike says the quote, then Joe says it back totally different. Yeah, that's it.
It's all right. Hey,
I love
close.
it. I love it. It's good.
Know your why.
It's the idea, right?
Yeah, the point is know your why.
It's the idea, and we see it all the time. If people's why isn't big enough, and Joe, you're really good at leaning into this all the time and bringing out and asking the questions of people, why? Like, why are you doing this? What's your intentionality behind this? Why do you care? Why? Because we see it all the time, right? We talk to people in strategy calls, in just, general success and onboarding and helping people with FreedomSoft and helping them with their business and coaching and all of the things. And inevitably, the people that have the biggest why, i.e. the reason they're doing the thing, the reason they want to make real estate investing successful, those people tend to push through the dips more consistently than people that don't really know why they're doing it. It just sounds interesting. They think they should do it. They've heard that real estate makes people money, right? Money is never a big enough driver of motivation. Yeah. Because you'll find reasons to be okay with where you're at if money's the only driver.
And I think the thing that I've been thinking about a lot lately is the difference between motivation and discipline. It's like the why becomes the fuel for the discipline when the motivation is not there.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
yeah,
boom.
2 cents.
Right.
Put that in quotes.
Well, so here's what we're going to do today on today's show, guys. We're going to dive in and we're going to talk about dispositions because, there's so much time spent on deal finding, right? Finding a deal, marketing for an interested seller, a motivated seller. We did an entire 2 podcast two-show session recently on the acquisition script. And so there's so much time spent on finding deals, getting deals, making offers, all of the stuff. And rightfully so, because the number one KPI in any successful real estate investor's business is how many offers did you make this week, right? And so rightfully so, a lot of time is spent on the acquisition side of the business. It's the old adage, build it and they will come, right? And that's kind of the idea behind acquisitions. If you get a great deal, finding the money and finding a buyer is not that complicated. It's not that hard. The problem is this. Here's where people make up their mistakes. They spend all of their time trying to get a deal on the east side of town when all of the buyers are buying on the west side of town. And then they wonder why they can't figure out how to dispo or sell this deal to somebody. Well, it's because you're spending all of your time, energy, and effort on acquisitions over here when all of the buyers are spending their time building their portfolios and flipping houses and doing what they do, deploying their capital over there. And so you're not in the right zone. And so the right zone is a zone that I call the honey hole. And it's the overlap of where there's plenty of distressed inventory, i.e., there are interested sellers. There are people that own real estate in the geography you're going to target that are interested in sellers. And some of them are even motivated to sell. And that geography overlaps with where the buyers are actually buying. And so on today's show, we're going to break down the 3 things you need to be thinking about when you're going to dispo a deal. And how do you set yourself up for success? Now, I know, Mike, Henry, you guys spend a lot of time just talking to real estate investors through FreedomSoft and the software side of the house. And this topic comes up a lot. In fact, Henry, you just did a masterclass recently where you taught basically a dispositions process using FreedomSoft. And I think the feedback from people was really, really good. I was not able to join that session, but I'd love to hear how did that session go? Kind of talk us, get the ball rolling in the dispositions conversation.
Yeah, so we've been doing these master classes pretty much almost every Thursday for the last couple months now. And the idea was to just cover small areas of your company where you may be just missing one thing or everything. And the idea is to break it up into very, very consumable chunks and then allow you to go and take action on what you just learned, basically. So with the disposition side, the way that we do the master classes is we say, here are the crucial tools of disposition. And then that allows you to say, do I have that or do I not have that? And do I want to implement that into my business? And then we kind of go into, here are the major problems that we see investors not doing in this case to make dispositions a lot easier for them. And then we get into it, and I dive into FreedomSoft, and I show how our tool can help solve those questions that people are asking, because the questions are all the same. We hear it all the time. When I get a deal, how do I go find a buyer? Or when I get a deal, where are the buyers? Or how do I get in touch with them?
Yep.
And we kind of break up these master classes to, like I said, bite-sized chunks that answer each of these lingering questions that a lot of people have, whether that be on acquisitions. But last week's was specifically on dispositions. And I think it was a big light bulb moment for a lot of people because, like you said in the beginning, the major focus that a lot of wholesalers focus on is where are the deals, where are the deals, where are the deals. But the way that I set it up last week was like, that's great that you guys are focusing on that. But I want to show you a couple tools and tricks and tips that if you focus just a little bit on disposition, it's actually going to make your life easier on the acquisition side. Because, I mean, we've told my story several times. I grinded on the acquisition side and just made it a lot harder for myself on the back end. And it almost makes you feel like it doesn't work sometimes because you're just not, you don't know the right buyers, you're not selling in the right place, and you're not finding the deals in the right place either.
Right.
So that was kind of the framework that I set up, and then we just dove into it last week, and man, we got great feedback from it. I mean, I got a handful of emails from people saying like it was awesome. They learned a lot. The feedback, Joe, in the chat, you saw everyone was just fire emojis, raised hand emojis, stuff like that. It was honestly the most interacted with masterclass that we have done yet.
Nice.
All of them have been great, but I don't know, man. I think just it psyched some people up the way that we showed it.
Well, and I think rightfully so. Again, because dispositions is like that's your payday. That's your payday moment, right? When you see how to connect the front end to the back end, you see the money. Right. And so your story is an interesting one. And it's interesting because it's so common. Right. It's you had to grind on acquisitions sort of in the quote unquote wrong geography. And it's not that you weren't able to get deals. You were able to get interested and motivated sellers calling you. You were able to make offers and get them under contract. The challenge was there was not a lot of buyer activity around the type of deal you were getting under contract. And so the disposition side was challenging. And now I think that that's not because when you were first learning it, it's not because Mike wasn't coaching you properly. It's because you didn't have the experience yet to hear what he was saying and be able to apply it. And so there's that sometimes there's that knowledge gap between the knowledge and the execution. There's knowledge there, but the experience around execution hasn't kind of been looped back to inform the knowledge to say, oh, this knowledge plus this action built wisdom. So as the loop filled, you came back and you began to say, oh, I hear what you're saying now. I see what you're saying. And when the light bulb goes on for people, and Mike, you coach people on this stuff all the time.
Yep.
When the light bulb goes on for people, it's like, I get it. Now, in a minute, we're going to cut over to Freedom Soft, and I'm going to actually just show some people some of the things. We're going to do a similar thing to what you did on the masterclass, Henry. And I'm going to pick the same geography because what you found, and I think you just let people randomly tell you a city and you picked a city and you jumped in and did it live. We could randomly pick any city in the country and do what I'm about to show you guys how to do. The cool thing about it is you'll see how to answer the questions that I started this show off with, the 3 questions you need to answer in order to successfully dispo your deals. And so, but Mike, you run into this all the time. People not connecting the dot between the acquisition and what they're going after, the types of deals they're going after, and the disposition and where buyers are and who they are and what they're paying.
Right. Yeah, and I think the phrase that's coming to mind here is start with the end in mind, and that's what you're about to set up today and what we're going to talk through. But it's much easier to say, let's say you're going to sell sandwiches. It would be easier to figure out what kind of sandwiches are people wanting in this area.
Yep.
Oh, turkey? Okay, then I'm not going to try and sell ham sandwiches here. Right? So this works across all industries. There's thirsty people. What do they want to drink? Let me show up with that instead of just saying, hey, I really like this thing, and let me, try and help everybody acquire a taste for it.
Yep.
It's really similar with real estate. Buyers have, and we call it a buy box. We talk about it frequently on here. They have a flavor for something already, right? And you can liken it to food or a beverage or whatever. Some people drink this, but they don't drink this. That's how it works in real estate.
Yep.
I buy this, but I don't buy this. And every experienced buyer has a buy box.
Yep.
And so instead of showing up with a random piece of property and saying, hey, buyer, what about this? What about this? What about this? What we do first is, and what you're going to show how to do with data, so we don't have to guess. I love that that we're not working on a hunch, right? We're working off data here, which is really powerful.
And here's the thing.
Yeah.
Data, the word data scares a lot of people. Because it sounds complicated.
It's instant knowledge.
Right.
Let's do that. You could either work really hard and try and meet hundreds of buyers in a market and have a conversation with all of them, or you could go to proper data and you would have the same answer to your question.
Right.
And you can do it in a matter of minutes now.
Yep.
Because we have technology, right? And so what happens is we figure out what does the market want, and then we just bring them that. That's just a better business model. It doesn't matter what commodity or service you're selling.
Yep.
What do people want, and bring them that.
Totally. So let's dive into the three things, because if you set your business up right, whether you're investing locally, whether you're investing virtually, if you start with the end in mind, and if you start with the answer to the three questions I'm going to give you from a disposition standpoint, you're going to set yourself up for more success faster and more consistently. So the number one question that you need to ask yourself when it comes to dispositions is, where are buyers buying? Remember, I gave this scenario at the beginning of the show, and I said your problem is you're going after deals on the east side of town, and all the buyers are buying on the west side of town. And the solution is to find the honey hole. It's to find the area that overlaps where there is enough inventory available and enough buyer activity that you focus in on the right geography from the very beginning. So your seller marketing is in that geography because the buyers are already there, which makes buyer marketing pretty simple. So in FreedomSoft, and what I want to do is just cut over to a show here, or a screen share of FreedomSoft. There's a tool in FreedomSoft from a disposition standpoint that is going to inform how you spend the money in your business for acquisitions. People don't connect this dot all the time, or they don't connect the dots around this all the time. And the tool is right here on the first tab, and it's called Zip Finder. Now, what Zip Finder does is it helps you begin to find the overlapping honey hole in any city in the country. Now, what I like to do is when you look at Zip Finder, it's going to find you the activity. So the number one question on disposition you need to ask is a geography question. It's a location question. Where in this particular market or city, where are the buyers buying? And so that's what Zip Finder answers. So let's go in here, and I think, Henry, when you did the master class, you did Louisiana, right? You did
Louisiana. So
not Baton Rouge. What did you do? You did
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Okay. So we're on Zip Finder in FreedomSoft. We go to Louisiana, and then now we can search this by MSA, which is Metropolitan Statistical Area. That's the whole metro area. We could narrow in on just a county, or we could narrow in on a city. What I like to do if I'm going into a new market, into a new area, or if I've lived in an area my whole life and I probably have bias around where are investors buying and what do investors truly want, this takes the bias away. This points me in the right direction if I don't know the market, and it takes the bias away if I think I know the market too well. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick MSA, Metropolitan Statistical Area, and then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to pick New Orleans. And then I'm going to say, show me the activity. Show me where investors are buying in the last 180 days. And I'm going to click search. And just like that, the FreedomSoft Zip Finder tool goes in and says, all right, here's where the activity is happening. We now have all of these zip code bubbles. And what you'll notice just below the search is we have all of the zip codes laid out and listed in order of activity. So if the number one question you need to ask from a disposition standpoint is, where are buyers buying? With a click of the button, we just solved it, right?
Now we know.
Now we know. And so here, what do we know? We know if I click on this 70072, That's the number one investor zip code. And if I click on it, it pops up 78 investor sales over the last 6 months recorded in this area.
And Rob, here's the deal. Here's why over the last 6 months is so important. It's not the top zip code from 10 years ago.
Right.
This is the top zip code now.
This is where buyers are buying now.
Right, over on the right, scroll down to the bottom of this list because it orders them. There are zip codes with, are there any with 0? No, but there are multiple zip codes with just a handful in the last 6 months. And then up at the top, there are zip codes with
a
lot of transactions in the last 6 months.
So here's what we do. We now know the geography. And oops, let me scroll back out. So we know the geography. We know that this big bright green area is one area, kind of central south. And then here's another one, kind of northwest. Here's another one, central west. Here's kind of southeast. And then again, back to northwest. And so watch this. So here's what I like to do. I like to go just pick my top 5 zip codes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my top 5 zip codes in the New Orleans area. And so what do we have to ask? Why are we doing this? If I'm going to spend money marketing for sellers and trying to get interested sellers respond to my marketing, where should I spend my time? I should spend my time where investors are already buying. So the fact that investors are already buying here is an indication that sellers are selling. That answers that question right out of the gate. The fact that a lot of buyers are buying proves that sellers are selling, because you can't have buyers buying without sellers selling. So it is likely, and the fact that these are all investor sales, it is likely that there is some element of distress or motivation driving some, if not many, of those investor sales. So what do? We take our top 5 zip codes and we click this Find Buyers button. We click the Find Buyers button. Now, that pushes those 5 zip codes, top 5 zip codes, into our lead finder tool. Now, this is where you can go build your lists. Do you guys typically build a cash buyers list or an active buyers list?
Active.
Yeah, I almost always do the active buyers list, because that gets your cash buyers. It also gets your buyers that are paying with hard money. It gets your buyers that are paying with private money, but the private lender is recording a deed of trust. And so it also gets your buyers that are buying with traditional financing.
I also, so that is like 90% of the reason, but the other 10% is that now this search is going to closely resemble the same results that Zip Finder pulled as well.
Yep.
Meaning that the time range is going to be very similar.
Yep, I love it. So what did we just get? Top 5 zip codes where buyers are buying. Now we have 292 buyers or addresses that have been bought in the last 6 months. This is what's being bought. So if number 1 is the geography, look at this couple of clicks on the mouse. We now know the geography. If I'm a new investor or an experienced investor or a virtual flipper, what do? I now know where to go spend my money to find deals, don't I?
Yeah, no, at this point in the masterclass, I kind of jutted in here and said, this is where the story starts to tell itself, right?
Yep.
It's obvious with the picture. I have little cohorts of activity that I want to go and target in. And the question that I always ask people in this scenario, and a lot of people already know it, but for the people that don't, they think here this is 292 unique new buyers or unique buyers.
Yep.
At 292. But what this really is 292 units that have been bought,
That's
basically.
right.
So the next question, you're going to get to it, but I always ask, don't be alarmed when you build this list and the results that come into the list are far less than the 292. And I say that's actually a good thing because remember, you're trying to find the top dogs here in your market. So why on earth would the list be smaller than the results that we got from our search? And a lot of people jutted in really fast and answered the question. But I ask it because a lot of people were like, would think, oh, I'm going to download exactly 292 buyers here. That's not the case. It's going to be a little less because, and you'll show it here in a second, some of these buyers bought multiple of these 292, which is a good thing.
It's a great thing, right? If the search results show 292 and you get 292 buyers, that means that every unique buyer bought one property. And what we're looking for buyers that are buying more than one property. We're looking for active buyers that are in the game. Hey friends, Rob Swanson here. Let me jump in and talk to you really quick about the Real Estate Mogul Academy. You might be sitting back listening to this and saying, how do I get in proximity with these guys? How do I have these kind of conversations, water cooler, hallway conversations every single day to help me go where I want to go in my real estate investing business? Whether you're just getting started or you're already a seasoned pro trying to elevate and go to that next step, the Real Estate Mogul Academy might be for you. What we'd like to do is offer you a free strategy session where someone from my team will jump on the phone. We'll talk about where you are, where you want to go, and how the Real Estate Mogul Academy might be the right fit for you. If you're saying to yourself, that sounds great, let's do it, go to mogulmembers.com, fill out your name and your contact information, and let's jump on the phone and let's chat. Let's see if we can help you go where you want to go this year. And so the first question we need to answer from a dispositions standpoint is the geography question. Where are buyers buying? The Zip Finder tool answers that question. Then you click the Find Buyers button right inside of the Zip Finder tool search results, and it pushes you into Lead Finder because the second question you need to answer is who's buying. So if we know where investors are buying, and then we know who those investors are, we can ultimately get to the third question, which we'll show you in a moment. But number one, where are they buying? Number two, who is buying? So how do we answer the who's buying? We're going to click this button right here and select all 292 properties. And we're going to add to a lead list. We're going to click the button and we're going to create a new lead list. Now, I'm just going to call this, let's see, New Orleans top 5 buyer zip codes. And all of this stays the same. I'm going to create my list. So FreedomSoft is now going to work in those top 5 geographies, you know, where the deals are happening, where the buyers are buying. It's building your buyers list. And it's going to go in, it's going to pull all of the fresh data in and build your list. So as we let this build out the data, there we go. We got 267. Remember, there was 292 that we started with. So there was about 25. There's 25 buyers that are buying multiples. Actually, it could be more. It could be a little bit more than that, but no less than 25 buying multiples because we've just pulled out from 292 addresses down to 267 unique buyers. Okay? Now, this is where it starts to get fun because if we know the geography, we now know the buyers, well, let's just click in on these buyers and see who are we dealing with. Because here's now your full list of buyers. And the way I have my FreedomSoft account organized is I've got status. These are all new buyers that I just built. First name, last name, phone number, company, mailing state. I want to know I'm interested in where is this buyer from? Where's their mailing address? And we can see a lot of Louisiana. Here's a New York. Here's a Florida, mostly Louisiana. We could click through the 267 and play around with that. But I like to see this sort of quick blush at what's going on. Now let's do this. And Henry, I assume in your masterclass from here, because everybody at this point is like, "Oh, this is great, beautiful. What do I do now?" right? We built the buyer's list. Here's all the people buying. Now what? And
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was going to say, it was funny because at this point, this one dude kept chatting in, and he kept beating me because he was like so like on the edge of his seat, and he was like, okay, this is great. Now show me people that bought 20 or 10. And he kept just asking all these questions, and it was cool to interact with because I could just answer the questions and show him exactly what he wanted.
Yeah.
So the obvious next thing is, okay, this is great and we can use this information, but remember, we are very, very curious on the top dogs in the area. So that is who those people are. So
Yep.
the next step would be to drill into even further. Like we're already really far into the market at this point,
Yep.
but FreedomSoft allows you to dig even deeper into the data with our owned properties filter
Yep.
and our active buying filter as well.
If you remember this, the way to a multiple six-figure wholesaling business every year is to find 3 to 5 buyers that are buying 2 to 3 deals a month, build a relationship with them, know what they're buying, understand their buy box. 3 to 5, 2 and 3. 3 to 5 buyers buying 2 to 3 deals a month. So let's do that. If we go over here and we're just on our buyers list, and we click this advanced filters button icon right next to the active conversations button, and we go down here and we say, well, let's add a filter. And now we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom of the filters, and we're going to click on this purchased properties filter. Okay, so we're going to say purchased properties is greater than or equal to, greater than or equals, and let's just start with, I don't know, let's just start with the top guys. Who's buying 10? Anybody buying 10? On or after, and then let's just go back 6 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
This would be a lot. 10 in 6 months.
So this is a lot.
Yeah.
So let's search. Let's see who's buying. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and actually we have one plumeria, and then we have Federal National Mortgage Association, Federal Home Loan Corporation, Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and Secretary of Veterans Affairs. So we basically have banks taking over foreclosures, which are the only ones doing 10, except for this one. Let's look at this one. What is this? I have no idea what this is. And there's a couple things. I just wanted to look down here.
So one of the
They're
guys in the
buying.
chat in this example recognized this as a huge hedge buyer all throughout Louisiana, basically.
Gotcha.
Because I remember this exact one, and because it popped up in multiple zip codes,
Gotcha.
owning a bunch of different houses.
Well, this takes us to the third question you asked, the number 3 thing on dispositions. Number 1 is where are they buying? Where are buyers buying? Number 2 is who are the buyers? And number 3 is what are they buying? So where, who, and what? So on the what question, on this, we clicked on the Plumeria LLC. We can go right here to the owned properties area and click on this inside of their record, and we can pop it up, and now we can see their entire portfolio right in front of us. So if we just zoom in, we can see, oh, look at, they're buying up in the Cleveland area. They're buying in kind of northeast of Dayton, and they're buying mostly around Louisiana. And we can zoom in right here on New Orleans, and we can see what they're buying in New Orleans. Now, here's what's kind of fun and interesting about this. We can scroll down here, and let me just sort by city, and let me go down to we're going to have all sorts of the little cities outside of just New Orleans proper. We're going to have all the little, what do you call them? Suburbs.
The burbs.
And so let's just, instead of doing it that way, let's just click on them right here because we can access them. And got this one on Lower Line Street, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. I'm just curious, are they buying bigger stuff or smaller stuff as a rule? 6-bedroom, 4-bath. No information on that one. 6-bedroom, 4-bath. Maybe that's the same one I clicked on. No information on that one. 2-bed, or it's a 2-bath. Another 2-bath. Interesting to see what they're buying here. And we'll pop up the snapshots in a minute. But I just wanted to click around and see, do we have an idea of what they're buying? And they're kind of all over the place, from high-end stuff to middle-end stuff. Let's just pop the snapshot up on this and just see what they're buying. So single family, absentee owner, corporate owned, private lender. So they financed this with Lima One Capital. They bought it. They bought this one back in 2020. So this is part of their portfolio. Okay, let's just minimize this and pop up another one. 110,000, 6-bedroom. Let's look at it. So looks like maybe a little duplex. Yep, duplex right here. Absentee, corporate owned, cash buyer. So they paid cash for this one.
Some of those big ones make me feel like they're like half Airbnb sort of thing. That big one seemed really big for like a Airbnb style house in New Orleans, something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't dug in enough to know if that neighborhood is conducive to Airbnb, like vacation. But it definitely kind of looked like it, didn't it? I agree with you. Let's go back here. Let's just pop up a couple more and just look. But what I want you guys to see is that. Oh, this one looks like it's been resold. Well, let's see. Absentee owner, corporate owned. What do they got going on here? Public records looks like they don't have very good data on this. We can go down all the way to the bottom and see the sales history. Yeah, there was a quitclaim deed done in 2022, which is still making it pop up as an absentee owner, corporate owned. Okay, so it is picking it up right. Good. Let's do one more out here. 70,000.
So of the ones you clicked, I didn't see anything under 1,400 square feet. There were multiple over 2,000.
Right, exactly. Absentee owner, corporate owned, distant landlord, cash buyer. So the point I'm making here is the biggest buyer, you can get a sense of their portfolio pretty quick and pretty easily. Now let's just go back and, here, let me go back to these 267, and here, I'm gonna put that filter back in. I should have saved the filter. I didn't save it, but I'll go back to my purchase properties, greater than or equal. And now this time, let's just say 5 on or after. And we'll go back to September 1 again, and we'll do the same date. And we'll click search. So this time we have 10. We have 10 buyers that are basically buying almost one a month. Realty Property Solutions is the top one right here. Let's click on it. And what are we looking for?
This was one of the ones that we found.
Okay,
in the masterclass.
So owned properties. Let's look at their portfolio. And they're kind of buying all over town. Is there anything consistent? Let's see. Look at this. It's kind of interesting.
So what I learned here from the guy in the chat that was from New Orleans, he said that what they do in a bulk portfolio package is they just throw either a really high or a really low price point on it at title, so that when the owner, I guess he said when the owner chooses, if they do choose to go and do a refinance, then I guess on the high, because I saw a lot of higher end ones, like people purchasing a group of properties for $2 million, but in reality it wasn't a combination of $2 million. And he said that's just a normal thing that people do in New Orleans. It was interesting. I'd never seen it before.
Interesting. So let's just see. So here's one of the ones they bought, and they bought this one in 2024. So within January 9th, 2024, last couple of months. what do we got? Absentee owner, corporate owned, active buyer, cash buyer. I mean, you got a picture of the little house they're buying right there. That was just the top one. Let's just go to the second one. They bought this one in December, so just a month earlier. Very similar again. Very similar little house. Also in December. Look at, they bought one on the 18th, the 19th, and the 20th. Their week right before Christmas was a good week. Another little good, solid, just investor house. And we're not getting the price they paid, but we are getting the type of properties they're buying, right? And remember, what we're looking for, what we know is we now know the top 5 investor zip codes, right? We know what those investor zip codes are, and so we get to match up doing our acquisitions where the buyers are actually buying. These are the buyers that are actually buying. Let's go back and look at the next one. Oh, and while I'm here, let me just save this search so that if I do screw it up, watch this. I'll just do, let's see, top buyers last 6 months. Save. So now I have my top buyers last 6 months search saved. I don't have to put in the criteria anymore. It'll automatically pop up. Let's go down to the second one, 625 Olivera Street, and let's look at their owned properties. They've got 7. So these guys are kind of a southeast buyer, it looks like. Let's see what they're buying. They're kind of buying in the $200,000 to $300,000 range, so maybe a little bit higher than the last buyer. Let's just pop up and see. Yeah, it looks like a little bit nicer house than what we had seen on the previous. They bought it for $275. It's worth $315. Let's pop that down. Let's look at the next one here that's got a price $215. So they paid $215 for it. Again, a nice little house, a little bit bigger, a little bit nicer than what we were looking at by the previous buyer. So now you start to get a sense of, what kind of deals are these guys buying? What are they looking for over the other guys? And let's take a look at this one, a 205 number. So they bought a nice little quad for $205,000. Now, this one they bought, though, a while back. They bought this one quite a ways back. So this is a part of their portfolio. Let's drop this down, and let's see. So that one is the oldest one that was in their portfolio. We can see that at 2008. Everything else they bought in 2023 and 2024. And that's why they're falling into our active buyer. These guys are actively buying right now. And so it's fun to come in here and look at not only what their portfolio looks like, but look at what they're actively buying right now. And that gives you a lot of insight into what's going on here. So, all right. So now, guys, we got this. So what do? We know where buyers are buying. We know who's buying. And we can get a sense of what they're buying. What do we do with that information?
Build a targeted list.
Chalk it up to good info?
Yeah. Start selling info. Yeah, now you know where to go and what to do. What kind of list to go build. This is the start with the end in mind philosophy coming to play right before your eyes is.
Yeah, because remember.
We know who's buying and what they're buying.
Because remember, I said, what do you need? You need 3 to 5 buyers buying 2 to 3 deals a month. So let's just knock this down to 3. 3, well, let's knock it all the way down to just 2. They're buying 2. Let's search. So now all of a sudden, we've got 47 buyers that have bought 2 in the last 6 months. How about 3? 1 every other month. We've got 17 buyers that have bought 3 in the last 6 months. So if I'm going to build my buyers list, if I'm going to focus in on figuring out who these people are, here's the 17 I'm going to focus on. And then obviously, I don't have to worry about the Federal National Mortgage Association, Federal Home Loan Mortgage, Secretary of Veterans Affairs. So I'm going to be down to about 13, it looks like, that I'm going to focus in on that are my most active buyers. These are the people I'm going to go figure out how to get in touch with. Now, there's a couple ways you can get in touch with them. You can skip trace the individual owners. You can have a VA do some advanced research for you and find the phone numbers for the entities and hunt them down. And there's an entire process that we have our VAs go through to find good phone numbers. If it doesn't come through on a skip trace, then you're going to do the research and you're going to go find these people. But maybe you say, I don't have time for that. So maybe you're just going to select all 17. You're going to go up to more actions and you're going to send direct mail. And what you're going to do is you're going to select a sequence right here and you're going to select a buyer sequence and you're going to drop them a postcard or a letter and you're going to get them to pick up their phone and call you. So simple and so quick to get that out the door and generate. So now we know dispositions. We've thought with the end in mind, and we've reversed our process. We know where the buyers are buying. We know who the buyers are that are buying, and we have an idea of what they're buying and what price they're paying. So now what do? I go back to my Zip Finder tool and I build my sellers list. So the same thing that I did to build the buyers list, I go back and I build my sellers list. So let's go back to Zip Finder. I'm just going to pop this in again. Louisiana, New Orleans, and we'll say last 6 months, 180 days. We're going to pop this up. We're going to get our results again. And now let's just pick our top 5 zips. But this time we already did the research on the buyers. We know the buyers. I picked the same 5 zip codes where the buyers are buying, and I click Find Sellers. Now you get to build something. And you can build one list. You can build multiple lists. You can build your interested seller, motivated seller marketing list. And the cool part about this is now you're doing it in the area where you know buyers are buying. Instead of randomly just, smorgasbording the entire city and just randomly picking zip codes that you think are going to be good, the data took you right to the right zip codes. It took you right to the right geography. So I like to then start with one of FreedomSoft's pre-built lists. And, we could go absentee owner or we could go owner occupied. Absentee owner, we've got tired landlords, high equity, distant landlords, and vacant property. So owners that don't live at the property, i.e. investors, right? Or we could go owner occupied properties, and we could go high equity or we could go zombie properties. These are pre-built filters on lists. These are lists that have pre-built filters. We've already done the work. Now, some of you say, well, I want to build my own list. Well, you can do that. You can say, well, I want to start with just absentee owner, and I want to build my own list. So you click the advanced search, and now go to town. Go build the exact list that you want to build. In our case, let's just start with vacant. It's a bread and butter go-to spot. So we'll start with our vacant list. Click search. 340 vacant properties in the top 5 zip codes. So now if you're spending your time, energy, and effort going after deals in the top 5 zip codes where buyers are buying, are you setting yourself up, guys, for success or failure? I mean, think about it.
It's a game changer.
It's a game changer. So let's just select all 340, add them to a lead list. And we'll do the same thing here. Click Add to Lead List. And now we'll call this New Orleans Top 5 Zip Codes Vacant. Create List. The same thing we just did with the buyer list, we're now going to do with the seller list. And we're going to target a vacant house list in FreedomSoft in the area with the top 5 zips. There's 340 right there.
Yeah, I think
Here we go.
something that I mentioned at this point in the masterclass was, I was like, I don't know who all is on this call, but I could assume that maybe 50% of the population on that call wants to get in the game, but they don't know how to get in the game.
Yep.
And they've tried to get in the game and it seems hard.
Yep.
At this point, right? I mean, granted, you know how to navigate the system, right? But we make it really easy for you to get to the point that, Rob, you just got to right now.
Yep.
But you have your buyers list, who, where, and what.
Yep.
And now you have potential sellers all on a list, downloaded information. You didn't have to deal with a spreadsheet. You didn't have to import it. You didn't have to go out and pay somebody to build it for you. None of that. It's now nice and neat on your dashboard here. And a lot of people are like, well, I want to get in the game and I don't know how to do X, Y, and Z. You are now, no joke, 2 clicks away from starting
Right.
a direct mail sequence that sends 3 postcards
Yep.
over the next 3 months.
Yep. Right like this. Select all 340 records, more actions, send direct mail. Right here, we're going to select the sequence.
I'm sorry, three clicks.
Yep, 3 clicks, man. And vacant houses, street view, multi-step right here. Click it. You click that send button and your direct mail's out the door. That fast. That's how easy it is to get in the game. And now you've gotten in the game intelligently.
That's the key.
That's the key, right?
Yeah, because when you first pulled Zip Finder and up at the top are all the active zip codes and then down at the bottom are the handful.
Yep.
If you have no clue what you're doing, you're going to go waste money on marketing.
Yep.
To those zip codes where there's really no buyer activity, very little. And in a lot of markets, most markets I've pulled at the bottom, there are multiple zip codes with 0 investor transactions.
Right.
And then you get a deal under contract, and then you get a little bit of hope, and you think, hey, I think this is working. And then you try and figure out, why can't I find a buyer?
Yep.
Because you're selling ham sandwiches when buyers want turkey.
That's right.
That's it. It's as simple as that. You just didn't bring a deal to the table in the place, in the geography, the right type of property,
Yeah.
where buyers are buying. But there's no reason to do that
Yep.
because FreedomSoft has the data.
Show me a CRM that does this.
Yeah.
Show me any of our competitors that do what we just showed people how to do. That have the tools with a few clicks to have the intelligent mind of an investor help guide them. Because you can go out and you can send direct mail. You can go out and you can pick a list of the entire county, the entire city, the entire metropolitan area, and you can send a whole bunch of direct mail. You can even filter down your list to just say, I want to only send 1,000 postcards. Show me a system that guides you to the honey hole like we just did here. Doesn't exist. And that's why we're spending the time going through this, because we want people to not only see it, but then go do it and use it in the way that we're showing it right here. And this changes the game for people.
100%.
This is Mike, Henry, Rob, Joe. Is what we just showed, do we do anything different in our own businesses than what we just showed?
No.
It's the
No.
exact process. And I was just going to say, Rob, I've literally showed people how to do this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And then I watch you do it, and it's still exciting.
Right.
Because it's
cool.
so right. This is what, can you imagine any business in any other industry that would just want data on, okay, I'm going to go sell a soft drink. What do people want? What are they drinking? What's the demand? Can you imagine them being able to go to data like this that we have?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I'm sure there are consumer reports and surveys and all this stuff, but this is public records data, sold properties, actual activity. This is not people in in an online chat wanting to be buyers. These are the top buyers. This is
Right.
actual activity that we're looking at.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, like to your point, you ask us, is this what we do? And it's yes, there's literally nothing up my sleeve when I'm showing people this, because
Right.
I've shown people this and they say, okay, that's great, but what do you do?
Yeah.
I just showed you what I did. I'm
Yeah.
not.
No,
I'm,
I know.
I'm not
Henry, but
hiding.
what do you do?
I'm not hiding anything. We're not. I mean, what? Okay, so you just showed me for that list, but what list have you hit in your market with your postcards? My postcards are those postcards.
Right.
I don't think anything more about it.
Right.
I let the data talk for itself, and then I get it. Like, I was in that mindset on the left side
Yep.
in the very beginning, but when you actually drill down and you like you said in the beginning, build that wisdom, you tend to realize that it has less to do about that and more to do with, I'm going to keep hitting the same list as much as I can, as
Yep.
frequent as I can,
Yep.
in the consistency realm. And, update the list as things change over, because every 30 days we're getting new data.
Yep.
So in my market at least, there's 10, 15, 20 new vacants that pop up, or new tired landlords that may pop up that
Yep.
I can speed to a postcard to them basically faster than a lot of other people can as
Totally.
well.
Yeah, so we just figured out the honey hole. So I've got 2 lists here now sitting on my dashboard, right? I've got a buyer's list and I've got a seller's list in the top 5 zip codes. And from here, I just want to show somebody something. Because now somebody's saying, okay, that's great. Now I know where to market my sellers. I know where to find my buyers, and I know that they're buying in the area that I'm gonna get deals in. I know that I've got the honey hole matched up. Okay, so here's what I want to do then. Based on this discussion we're having, let's just show kind of the next steps of how this works. And so if we go, let's pretend for a minute that we just dropped direct mail to that list, right? We've got 340 vacant houses in the top 5 zip codes right now. And we're going to drop direct mail to that list. So let's pretend we did that. And it's now 3 days later. And we're starting to get inbound responses. So let's just show you how this works. We'll go in here and we'll click on these. And I'm just going to grab a random address. And I'm going to copy this to the clipboard just so I have it. And we're going to pretend that Jacqueline just responded to our direct mail. Okay? This is what happened. Jacqueline just responded to our direct mail. So we're sitting there, we're waiting. We're like, it's time to make money. We followed the honey hole method. We've got marketing out. We know that there's buyers buying. It's all good and ready to go. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over here, and when we launched our direct mail, it prompted us to create a campaign. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call this Vacant New Orleans. And we're doing direct mail, targeting sellers, and we're going to go down here to create my campaign. Now, I'm going to pretend that this campaign got an inbound call, and it came in from this phone number right here. And I'm going to save this. So you logged into your FreedomSoft account this morning, and this is what you see. You see a new lead that's been captured. Now, on the voicemail that this person left you, she said, my name is Jacqueline, and I have this address. And we're just going to go ahead and type this in exactly how we would do it if we were listening to her voicemail. We know it's Louisiana. And then let's pop in the zip code. And let's save this. Okay, so now we got an inbound lead from our direct mail. This person phone number, which we don't have in the system because they called us from their cell phone. And we've got the address they just left us on the voicemail. And we want to know, where did this person come from? Well, number one, we know that it came from our Vacant New Orleans direct mail. But now we want to see, what record is this from? So I go into here, I click More Actions, I go Merge Records. And watch what's going to happen. FreedomSoft is going to go search our lists, the marketing lists we built, and it's going to say, hey, we found this address. It's on your marketing list. And it's gonna bring up the person's name. So check it out right here. Merge this. This is the lead we just got with, oh, look at New Orleans top 5 vacants right here. I'm going to merge it with this person right here. Merge the records. Okay. Here's the thing. We see it all the time. CRMs create bloat. And one of the keys to eliminating bloat is using tools that just manage and help your data stay organized and streamlined. So we just got this lead and we just added the seller's name. We added the address. We got their mailing address all merged in. Now we know everything about the property. We can view the property snapshot. We can pull it up. This little house is vacant right now. It's absentee owned. It's vacant. And we're ready to make a deal. We get this under contract. What do? We just use the tools in FreedomSoft. We make the offer. We run the comps. We send out the paperwork. The e-signature comes back. It automatically attaches to the lead record. And then what? We look for the buyer match. We say what buyers are buying houses just like this in these top 5 zip codes. And boom, we've got our buyers. It's that simple, guys. Guys, what am I missing? This is the process.
That's the process.
Rinse, repeat.
That's right.
It's not that hard. And it's a lot of fun. All right, guys. Well, this was a different one. We got to dive into the software and actually show it today, which was pretty cool. As we wrap it up, let me just leave you guys with this. Where are buyers buying? Who are the buyers that are buying? And what are they buying? Figure that out first. Use the tools in FreedomSoft. Target your geography. Spend your marketing dollars there, and you're going to match up your buyers on the back end and get paid more regularly. I think with that one, guys, it's a wrap. Thanks for being here. Hope you guys got a lot of value out of that. And if you did, let us know. We always love to hear it. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Hey friends, Rob Swanson here. Let me jump in and talk to you really quick about the Real Estate Mogul Academy. You might be sitting back listening to this and saying, how do I get in proximity with these guys? How do I have these kind of conversations, water cooler, hallway conversations every single day to help me go where I want to go in my real estate investing business? Whether you're just getting started or you're already a seasoned pro trying to elevate and go to that next step, the Real Estate Mogul Academy might be for you. What we'd like to do is offer you a free strategy session where someone from my team will jump on the phone. We'll talk about where you are, where you want to go, and how the Real Estate Mogul Academy might be the right fit for you. If you're saying to yourself, that sounds great, let's do it, go to mogulmembers.com, fill out your name and your contact information, and let's jump on the phone and let's chat. Let's see if we can help you go where you want to go this year.